Hi there, welcome to the Andev channel. Today I am joined again by Harvey Sparks, one of our lead AI implementers. Today I thought it would be good for us to have a little chat about alternatives to OpenAI. Yeah, myself, I've obviously just started on OpenAI, dabbled a bit in Claude, and obviously experienced a Microsoft version of OpenAI Copilot. But beyond that, I've not really looked at anything Google has had to offer, anything like that. So Harvey, I thought it would be a good chance for you to have a chat with us about what Google's offering at the moment.
Hello, yeah. So, yeah, looking at the new updates that have come over the last week or so, we've seen three major updates to Google's Gemini offering, which is improvements to deep research, which is their long reporting tool, audio overviews, which is quite exciting for summarization, and their new Canvas tool for collaborating with GenAI for writing and coding.
So deep research, that's an interesting one. Personally, I've never actually used any of the deep research functionalities that have been available in OpenAI, but could you just give me a quick summary of like what the main differences are between what OpenAI is offering and what Google Gemini has to offer?
Yeah, so actually, an interesting use case that I used it for recently was to summarize documentation into something a little bit more digestible as a quick start guide. So I recently used that on ChatGPT, and I asked it to go away and do some research about the documentation. Instantly, it came back with 4 or 5 questions and said, do I care about how it looks in this respect, or what version of this I'm using, or to try and fit the needs of what I was really after. Fills those out, submitted it. ChatGPT came back and said, right, fine, come back in X amount of time and I'll have it done. Brilliant. And that worked very well. Gemini takes a different approach where it comes up with a very short plan very quickly of what it's going to research and how it's going to achieve it. So a breakdown of, okay, I'm going to look at these sections first, and then I'm going to analyze the results and then craft my report at the end. So a step-by-step guide of what it's going to do. In that then, so instead of answering some questions, you can now tweak how it's going to approach the problem. So you can say, I'd rather you focused a little bit more on, say, this section, and maybe I don't care about section 4. And then it will go away and do it. And it comes back with a similar format with, a big report and lots of sources at the end.
Okay, so that kind of allows you to sort of manipulate Gemini in the actual building of its research rather than kind of just clicking and waiting for it to come back, which is more the OpenAI approach has been.
Yeah, you can control its approach to the research rather than the content it's going to come out with. Obviously, it affects the content it comes out with, but you can dictate how it goes about and gets that information.
Oh, wow. So how does that relate to the audio overview capability that you mentioned at the beginning then?
So audio overview is an interesting one, and you could probably even feed the results from a deep research into it. So what audio overview gives you is the ability to provide it with some sort of document or even text, and it will create a podcast style, bit like what we're doing now, overview of the new of the features of it. Say for example, if you gave it an entire book, so Gemini has a very large context window of 1 million tokens.
Oh, wow.
So you could give it almost a book, right? And say I would like an audio overview of it, and it will come back with sort of like a digest between 2 AI generated voices of an overview of that book. So if you had a research report from deep research, you could put that in there and have something to digest, not only for yourself but even share it around your team.
It's quite a powerful sort of consumable approach, because up till now, I guess it's been more text-based results of having to read through all that deep research that's happened. Just having it as something you can listen to while on a commute, that's quite a powerful little tool then.
Yeah, it's downloadable and you can upload it all into the Google services.
Oh, wow, thank you. So what else would you like to talk about today on Gemini?
I think we'll round up with covering the Canvas offering that's really recently introduced to Gemini 2.0. So the Canvas feature is interesting for both writers and coders. Let's go over the writing abilities of it first. So Previously, we would probably say to a Gen AI, say, I want to craft an email to X on this topic, and it will come back with a formatted proposed email. Now in Google Gemini, it will open up in Canvas and give you tooling to adjust that and collaborate with the Gen AI in a much more user-friendly way. So what that means is say if there was a problem with paragraph 3, you thought it was way too wordy, you didn't like it. Instead of the previous approach of being, I want a prompt to say, I don't like paragraph 3, please do this, and then a lot of the time it got it wrong and it affected other areas of the document. Now there's tooling on the right where you can highlight it and just drag a slider and say I want that shorter, and it will only affect that area and not like the title or something as well. That's all version, just like the code side as well. So if you make a change and you don't really like it, you can jump back, and you can still go for the classic approach and say I don't like the whole thing and scrap it. Once you're finished, you can publish that straight to Google Docs and it's ready to share or edit at a later date.
Well, it's really quite a tool that I feel will clear up half of the problems I've been having with the OpenAI integration. It's you always end up asking it to make one change and then suddenly you're redoing the whole thing again, and the world changing is not necessarily what you want.
Exactly, really, you can make much more targeted changes. So just following that, just briefly cover the code inside of it as well. They've also introduced Canvas, like a lot of the other offerings, for generating simple web ideas, landing pages, prototype sort of web components that are instantly previewable, and it's very fast to generate. So some examples I've seen are like cost calculators for websites, or even just full landing pages. And the styling used seems to be quite above a lot of the other offerings. They seem very modern, very slick. Again, it's versioned, so you can jump back and you can also target it, just like in the writing part, to a specific piece of that code that you want to edit. The languages offered are HTML, JavaScript, web technologies, but also it does support Python, and that can be exported out into Google Colab as well, like Jupyter Notebooks. Web technologies and Python are covered there.
Thank you for your insights, Harvey. Sadly, that's all we have time for today. So please do click subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're interested in anything Gen AI. Goodbye.